What's up, my good peoples? Welcome to the Be Transformed podcast, where we're talking about ideas that stimulate wholesome thinking into identity, purpose, vision, and action. I am James Anderson, and with me is Logan Eaton and Kyle Enteman, my good homies. What's happening?
What's crackling?
What's cracking?
Not much.
How's it going?
So good. So good.
I feel like I haven't been here for a while.
feel like I haven't been here for a while.
It's been, what, a couple weeks
I
at
feel like I
least?
haven't been here for a while.
Yeah, has been. But we're back.
Couple weeks, yeah. You were out of town last week.
Yeah.
I was out of town before that.
Yeah, I made a little video.
While you're away?
Before I left.
Cool.
It's about the right takeaways. There's some stuff that you could take away, like a takeaway is like a lesson learned. And there's some things that you can take away from a situation that you should really put back.
Yeah.
Right? They're the wrong takeaways. Right? You can grab hold of some incorrect perspectives, and those perspectives affect your priorities, your decisions. Right? And so sometimes kind of knowing what's the right takeaway is very helpful.
That's hilarious.
Stuff that builds up faith and
Yeah,
hope and
yeah.
action, right? Instead of
good.
discouragement and weakness and patheticness.
Right. Yeah.
Don't nobody got any time for that.
Literally. Time is money.
Literally.
Yes.
Dude,
Yeah.
time is now.
How was Wisconsin?
It's good. A lot of lakes out there. A lot of
Is there
fishing. Yeah.
More water than land?
I wouldn't say that, but there's a lot of water out there.
50-50.
Is it the
Quite a bit.
what is it? What's doesn't it have a lake motto? Land of many lakes or 1,000 lakes?
I think that's the state above it.
Oh.
Milwaukee?
Land of 10,000 lakes or something.
What's above it?
Oh, gosh. No, there's another state up there.
Mexico?
Des Moines. No, I
I
forget.
think it's Des Moines, yeah.
Yeah,
Des Moines, Iowa?
that's
Des
Iowa,
Moines,
though.
Iowa?
I don't know.
What's
maybe
the state above
I was
Wisconsin?
thinking
I'm trying
lakes
to
of many
think.
lands.
Yeah, I can't.
Minnesota? Is that
Yeah, I
Milwaukee?
think it's Minnesota, yeah.
DeWalt.
Oh.
DeWalt, yeah. DeWalt,
St. Louis.
Minnesota.
DeWalt.
I
St.
think
Louis,
it's
Milwaukee?
Circular St. Louis. Is that where the Statue of
Yeah.
Liberty is?
somewhere up there.
No, my brother just got back from St. Louis, Milwaukee. I know
Oh.
he did. He was on the bridge? Or he was on the arch?
You mean St. Louis, Missouri? There's no St. Louis,
Is that by the
Milwaukee.
Prime Meridian?
Milwaukee's
by
in
any chance?
Wisconsin.
What?
Yeah.
Milwaukee's not in Minnesota?
No.
Milwaukee's not a state?
No.
It's definitely a tool brand.
It's a tool brand in a city, I believe. Yeah.
In Wisconsin?
Yeah,
Mil-
Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I think.
What's the, where's the arch at? Is that St. Louis, right?
That's St.
Yeah,
Louis
Illinois?
Arch? Yeah. Yeah.
Illinois.
Golden Gate.
No,
Golden.
it's not. Missouri.
Yeah,
okay.
Missouri.
I don't know.
I used to live in Missouri.
Did you?
Yeah, over by Kansas City.
That's where the arch is.
That is on the opposite side of the
Good
state where the
barbecue
arch is.
sauce.
Oh.
They did have a lot of barbecue joints.
Did they
That
really?
was for real, yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. A lot of lakes out there. Beautiful, beautiful state. Up in the
Yeah.
Northwoods. So
Is it a lot of woods out there?
where we
Not
were
like
at.
farmland around here.
Yeah, there's farmland, but I'd say there's more farmland around here for sure.
But you were stayed in like the trees in the woods?
Yeah. A little camper and a lot of trees around there.
Neat.
Yeah.
Is it hilly?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have guessed.
Quite a bit of hills, yeah.
But you did guess.
Yeah. Hills all
What's
over
the
place.
altitude?
I don't know, 50,000.
Inches?
50,000
Above
feet.
sea.
Yeah, it's quite
Wow.
up there. Yeah, you can basically just jump out of wherever you're at.
Yeah, it sounds like you were in the clouds.
Yeah, we were just floating along in the clouds.
Maybe still there?
Yeah,
Oh.
a little bit.
Maybe still flying at 50 thou?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Flying up there.
Wow. That's like 10 miles in the sky.
Catching those fish.
You did catch some.
Yeah.
Any trophies?
Yeah,
Taxidermy one?
Couple eaters.
Couple
yeah.
6 inches.
Threw it on the fire.
Mm.
Yeah.
Just you and your dad?
Just me and my dad. Yep.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, you
lots
know-
of talking or just silence?
A little bit, a little crackling, but you know, mostly it's just chilling, enjoying our time. It's it's nice to spend some time with people, but sometimes you get bored of it too, and you want to go home and get away from it as well.
Sure.
It was a good break, and it was a
Then you
good
were good
bonding
to be done.
experience. A lot of ticks up there, though.
Did you get some?
I never had one that latched onto me, but they would crawl on me quite a bit. Yeah,
Found one on your eyeball.
close to it.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's not a good place to have one.
they'll go anywhere. Yeah, you wake up and you're like, whoa.
What's this crawling on my eye?
Oh yeah, you'll feel them kind of creep up on you.
Whoa.
But
Really?
a lot of insects out there.
Bugs.
Yeah,
Nice. Mosquitoes?
yeah, a lot of
A
mosquitoes.
lot of mosquitoes.
Mm.
Did you have any good quiet time? Devotion time?
Yep.
Meditation?
Yep, walking.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of walking.
Nice.
Nice.
Walking and talking.
To your
Prayer.
dad or yourself?
Myself
Oh, okay.
Mosquitoes.
and the mosquitoes and the deer.
Oh.
Some deers out there.
Whoever wanted to listen.
No bears.
No bears that I saw. No, there are bears out
Mm.
there, but I didn't see any. No.
Over there in Milwaukee.
Yup.
Any cows? There's a lot
Yeah.
of dairies out there.
Yeah, a lot of cheese out there.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. You know, California, right? There'd be these commercials, and they would have Wisconsin. They'd have like these cows in Wisconsin, like in the middle of a blizzard, and like the cows are all miserable. And then they have the cows in California, and they're talking about good cheese comes from happy cows.
Yeah,
And
right.
happy cows come from
Oh,
California.
really? Wow. I
That's
bet
a
the
kick
yeah.
in the crotch
I
to
did-
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But probably nobody from Wisconsin ever saw it because they were
Right,
only
right.
happening in California.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of cows out there though,
Yeah.
and cheese. Yep.
Did you guys pack everything and catch what you eat, or did you guys go out into the city?
There's a local city around the area that you can get stuff from. So
Nice.
tried to. There was an Aldi's there. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All the
Aldi's.
comforts of
It was
home.
like you were right at home, man.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
All the sugar cereal you can handle.
Yep.
Come back.
It was right there with the shopping carts and everything.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Come back with a big bag of Clancy's pretzels and
Oh, those are great, aren't they?
and
You ever
6
had those
boxes
before?
Of, huh?
You ever had those before?
Yeah.
The peanut butter filled ones?
Oh yeah, we get those.
Those are good.
Just the ones that look like a pretzel.
okay. With peanut butter on the inside? Oh.
The really thin ones. The really thin. They look
Normal
like a
pretzel.
Yeah,
What,
they
they
look-
look
Yeah.
like a pretzel.
Not with peanut butter on the inside?
no.
There's no inside.
Okay.
I sometimes put peanut butter on them.
Okay.
Whoa.
Not
Right into
inside
the
of
jar.
them.
Just dip it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's usually pretty good.
Talking Kyle's language right there.
Yeah.
Mm.
Love peanut butter.
I love me some peanut butter.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Nice.
Hey, Dad, I'm back from the store. I got the essentials.
Peanut butter and pretzels.
6 boxes of sugar pops.
Yeah, man. I think he got some cereal. I didn't have any.
Nice.
I think he got some shredded wheat.
Mm.
It's a good cereal.
Yeah, I think so.
The little shredded wheat frosted.
With the
Frosted.
frostings
Oh
on it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Did
In,
you-
in Australia, they had this stuff called Wheat Bix, and it was like bricks of wheat, like smashed together, and you would like break it up.
Really?
Kind of weird.
Was it like
Wheat
flavored at
bricks?
all, or just?
Not so much. I'd put some shugs on it.
Okay. All right.
But they had lots of like Olympic people on the Wheat Bix box.
Oh, kind of like Wheaties in America.
So you just
But
take
we-
it out like a
It's called Wheat Bix, but it should have been called Wheat Bricks. but-
yeah, like a brick of it, and just kind of break it up.
Yeah, like it would come in like it'd be wrapped up like graham crackers.
Okay. Right.
And there would be like a stack of the bricks, and then you just kind of break them up.
And they were cereal?
And it was cereal.
Wow.
Pretty
Yeah.
good. Fair.
If you're into that sort of thing.
If you're into yeah. Add a little sugar to
Got a
it.
little sugar doogies. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Neato.
What about you, Logan?
No, I've been in town for
You've been
the
in
whole
town?
summer.
You have been? Yeah.
Pretty much. I don't think I went anywhere.
Mm.
Been up to the lake a few times.
Did you ever get up to that park up there?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. A couple times, yeah.
The Mommy Bay.
East Harbor.
East
Over in I think Marblehead, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think I've been anywhere else. I've stayed pretty much in Northwest Ohio this summer.
Mm.
Saw Jim Gaffigan last night in Toledo, the comedian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was funny. It was hilarious.
Where was
Mm.
he at?
The zoo.
The zoo. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you go with some people?
Yeah, the whole entire fam went.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
fam went. So yeah, I tagged along. And it was hilarious, man. I've never laughed that hard
Really?
in a long time.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He doesn't use the puppets, does he?
No, he's got a pretty unique style though.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look him up, you would know he's pretty unique, but really funny. But yeah, going to see another one, Theo Vaughn, in October with my brother in Cleveland.
Comedian?
Yeah. But that's about it for trips for me. Pretty much local.
Nice.
One dayers.
Local Aldi's.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Might go to the Aldi's company picnic.
They'll probably have the.
I think
peanut
that's
butter
in St.
pretzels.
Louis, Milwaukee, though.
Mm, St.
to
Louis,
travel.
Milwaukee, right
pushing
under
those
the
carts around.
Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that store's got a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly food, but sometimes lawn
Just-
chairs.
Launch it. Yeah.
Sweatpants.
Cats, all sorts of stuff. Yeah. You don't know what you're going to get there.
Yeah, I haven't seen a live cat in there yet. But
You got to go in the back room,
I've seen a dead one in there before,
Yeah.
but not a live one.
in the produce section.
In the meat section.
Oh, and then he... Hey,
You gotta have behind the scenes access.
cat.
you got to appeal to all sorts of people.
Yeah.
Some people like cat.
Do you ever open up the fridge doors and crawl around the milk crates and go back in there
Almost every
Oh.
time, really.
and just hope you don't get caught?
Oh, in the Aldi's?
Yeah.
No, I haven't done it at
See what's
Aldi's.
back there.
I always get chewed out
Yeah, I want to know
by
where-
that little guy back there. Little Jebedian.
I want to know where they stock everything.
Little Jebedian Springfield.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the manager.
Yeah, yeah. Mr. Aldi.
He's rough. He doesn't let the public back behind the meat counter. The
He
eggshell.
doesn't.
What are you guys doing back here?
Just eating some cheese. Just eating some cheese, Mr. Jebedian.
Some shredded cheese right out of the packet.
Shredded
Cheese slices.
Good stuff.
Americans.
Love shredded cheese.
Yeah. It's the greatest thing since block cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Can.
Canned-
greatest thing since
canned
canned
cheese?
Absolutely.
Like compressed air cheese.
Cheese whiz. The spray paint kind?
whiz.
You ever had that before? No.
Mm.
No, just tilt it up and...
Did you ever get like a block of Velveeta and just melt it and drink it?
Never, never drank it before, but yeah,
Straw.
sounds good though.
Sip it and then throw a chip in your mouth.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a
It's
good
easier
idea.
than dipping it.
I like that. I like that.
Oh,
Just put the
my
whole block in
God.
the microwave.
Yeah.
It melts really nice. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
it melts really nicely.
Wait
Some
till you hear
jalapenos in them.
Wait till you hear an explosion. Wait till you hear a bunch of sizzling.
Yeah, just leave it in the package. You don't even have to put it in a bowl.
You open it up and it's everywhere, and you just take the chip and just
Scrape
Start
it,
eating
scrape
out
it
of
on
the
the microwave.
Yeah, if it
Yeah.
hardens up, you just turn the microwave back on.
Right. It's a good idea.
Oh my goodness. All right, man. Start us
You wanna
up.
get started?
What are we? Oh, you're going tonight, Logan?
We're going live.
Oh, okay.
We're doing it live.
You got some stuff. All right.
Yeah, so I
Go.
got some questions and maybe some answers.
Mm.
So yeah, I wanted to talk about stuff that I had been through.
Oh.
stuff that, because then you kind of have a better idea of how to explain things. And so I think personal experience is important when you're talking about something. And so the first question that I kind of had thought about, that I've had some people ask me, like, how do you find your vision or your purpose? So I quickly did some thinking before I came over. No, but I had some concrete ideas, and I needed to just put them down on paper. But so I came up with like three basic things to kind of get started. Nothing too in detail, nothing too crazy, but three things to kind of, I guess, spur someone forward to figuring it out. So the first thing that I did, and that I would tell somebody to do, and feel free to add in anything to this, or if I miss something, feel free to add in. But the first thing that I did was, I guess, I stood at the crossroads and knew that, became conscious that a decision had to be made at some point. So yeah, that looked like, for me, just doing some reading. It looked like, just spending some nights just thinking and brainstorming, just kind of cutting off from the external environment and thinking about, what do I actually like to do? What do I actually want to do? What could I see myself doing? And the reason I just worded it as standing at the crossroads was the verse Jeremiah chapter 6:16, and I'll read that, but it pretty much just says, so it says, "Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls." And so I think it's just important to maybe not just to quit moving. If you don't know what your vision is and you don't know what your purpose is, to just take a step back and stop moving and stand there and realize that you're at a crossroads, and then realize that a decision has to be made, and that at some point you're going to have to make a decision. And I think it's at that point, it's also important to realize that it doesn't have to be a final thing. It's like we always talk about, there's a process to it, and it takes, but at least stand there and consider what paths are right. Consider what the ancient paths are for your life, and seek to know what path to take. And then the second part of that is just realize that at some point you're going to have to make a decision. You can't stand there. You can't sit there at that crossroad. So the second piece to that, once you kind of get into that first piece, would be, for me, it was count the cost. And I think I'm doing a little bit better job of this now than I was back originally, because originally when you start thinking about the things you want to do and everything, you just want to just jump into something and jump into it and just get going. But there is a reality of, you have to count the cost. So that could be, I think the 5 big ones for me were time, energy, money, and then accountability and responsibility, adding into those costs as well. Because any decision you make with determining what your preferred future is going to look like is going to take accountability and responsibility, not just time, money, and energy. So it's going to take effort on someone's part. And then that also has to be added to a time frame. So those costs have to be added to a time frame of now and at different points in the future. So you're going to have to count the cost of what does it look like to get into something now? What does it look like getting into that 5 years from now? And it doesn't have to be extremely detailed, but it's like if you can't see yourself doing something in 5 years, or if you see yourself doing something different in 5 years, it might not be a good idea to just jump into something that might not be relevant in your future. It might be something that you have to get into now to learn something, to get into something that's down the road. So counting the cost, I think, is extremely important. Otherwise, it's really easy to just jump into something. So there has to be a real conversation. It doesn't have to be with anybody. It can just be with you and God, and just working out, asking about, what is this going to take in terms of these 5 things? Because usually everything takes more time, energy, money, accountability, and responsibility than what you initially figure it to be. I mean, I've had so many thoughts where it's like, yeah, all this is going to take is this, and this, and I know where to get this, and this, and I can do this, and this. But then you start getting into something, and it's like, holy smokes, this is 5 times more energy, 5 times more money, 5 times more energy and accountability and responsibility. And it's like, wow, I don't even know if I want to be having this in 5 years from now. And so it's just counting, just making a conscious effort to count the cost before you jump into something. So that was step 2. And these are just really broad. And I'll do step 3, and then maybe we can talk some more about it. But so step 3 is then once you have stood at the crossroads and sought a path and sought the right way, and then you've counted the cost and determined what it's going to take, at least get an idea of what it's going to take, because details work themselves out as you get into something. But that third part is to know what you have, to know what you need, and then know how to maximize each of those. And so that takes basically just some continuing questioning about yourself, and then doing research about, what is this really going to take, and counting to the cost to the next level. So know what you have, what are your assets, whether it's knowledge or physical things or education or whatever. What are your assets? What do you have now, and what can you do with them? How can you maximize them? And then what do you need? Like, what do you absolutely need to get whatever this vision is started, to get whatever the purpose is rolling? Do you need, 8 years of school or 4 years of school, 2 years of school, or a certificate of graduation for 1 year of school? What do you need? And like, know what you have, what you need, and then how to maximize it. Because if you know what you have and know what you need, but you don't know how to use those things, then it's kind of worthless to have those things. So know how to maximize. And that just takes, the first thing that popped in my head about that was it just takes research. So you got to read books, you got to do internet, you got to do web searches, you got to talk to people and make phone calls and do all that stuff. And sometimes just doing some little things to get something going will help you to learn more, and will help you to know what you need and what you already have maybe. I read Jeremiah 6:16. So stand at the crossroads. There's this note that I wrote down back in February, kind of about counting the cost, counting your time, energy, money, responsibility, and accountability. And so what I wrote down was, even when you're doing something great, you're going to face opposition. The world and its forces, they want you to be average. They want you to be in lack. They want you to be depending on the external environment. So if you're just existing, you can miss life, even if you call yourself a believer. So even if you say you believe, but in reality you're just existing, you can totally miss life if you're not willing to make a decision or take a risk. So in Christ's eyes, you can live again. You can be born again into freedom, love, peace, and greatness. And so Nehemiah, I wrote down that day, Nehemiah 2:20, the God of heaven will give us success. That's, I think, about when that one guy was building a wall. Mm-hmm. And so he had a vision and a purpose, and he had the confidence to say, God's going to give us success in this. And then Jeremiah 12:5, this kind of goes along with knowing what you have and knowing what you need, and again with counting the cost. So Jeremiah 12:5 says, if you have raced with men on foot and they have worn you out, how can you compete with horses? If you stumble in safe country, how will you manage in the thickets by the Jordan? So when I read that, it was like, holy smokes. Yeah.
You gonna keep making excuses for being a freaking sissy, or what?
Yeah. Right.
What was that?
Right.
It's Jeremiah 12:5.
Jeez.
So when you're thinking about what you have and what you need, it's like, if you think that you've if you think what you've done, I don't want to say this the wrong way. It's like, get ready for something bigger and something new. If you're going to pursue something, get ready for a new level of accountability, a new level of responsibility, a new level of time, energy, and money. And get ready for some discomfort. If you've stumbled, he says, if you stumbled in the safe country, how are you going to, how will you manage the thickets by the Jordan? So how will you stand firm? How will you walk steady in these thickets that come along with moving in a direction?
And what is it about your running part?
if you have raced with men on foot and they have worn you out, how can you compete with horses?
You've raced with men on foot.
If you've raced with men on foot and they've worn you out, how can you basically race with horses? How can you compete with a horse? Yeah. So like the next level is going to be, it's going to require more of you. And that's a reality when you're pursuing greatness or you're pursuing your purpose of greatness. And just being aware that, like, I don't think there's really going to be a time where like you just kind of step back. And maybe there will be, I don't know, but like to get it going, it's going to take a lot of, it's going to take a new level. And there's going to be thickets to get to the Jordan, and there's going to be some thickets so for me, that was like, I think I've stumbled in safe country, and I think I can, I definitely, it just opened my eyes to be like, I've got to get ready for the thickets here instead of like, like safe country being for me, like, I've had all the necessities that I need. Everything that I need's been there. I've never really had to, suffer through something, without food, water, or anything like that. So it's it just brings a new level of conviction and consciousness of who you really are. Count the cost, know what you have, know what you need, know that there's going to be, it's going to require effort, accountability, and responsibility to maximize those things. So that's what, I guess those are the 3 points that I had. Stand at the crossroads, seek the path, count the costs, and know what you have and what you need, as in terms of figuring out what you want to do with the rest of your life, or what your preferred future looks like, or what your God-given vision is, or your God-given purpose is. But yeah, you guys have anything on that? Oh yeah, I also wrote down, going along with that first part, so standing at the crossroads and counting the costs. Kind of one thing to do that is just to define your core values. Somebody helped me do that one time, and they kind of have changed over time, but it really helped. Like if you get 5 core values down, it helps you make the decision then, which is what I'll talk about next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because 5 core values would be like things that you're not going to change. Like one of them for me was I want to stay in Northwest Ohio. I want to stay within a certain distance from my family and the friends that I've made.
Right.
And so opportunities have come up elsewhere, but because that was a core value, I think it helped me kind of just make a decision instead of staying in like the, I don't know, maybe this could work, or making a decision that I might regret later. It's just like, because that's a core value, I know I can make it a pretty clear decision then.
Yeah. Definitely. I think core values too, staying true to your purpose, and your, like, when you start to work towards something, like not get faltered by what other people want you to do, or maybe you should try this, or, well, you could save money if you did this, or, maybe like, because you wanted to do, you have certain ideas and in your head. So continuing to go through with what you believe is the truth in that area.
Yeah. And everyone's core values will be probably different. I mean, it's just some people that are going to value different things differently than other people. So you have to create your core values. And that might be the first questions you ask is, what do I value most high in my life? And then your decision's going to revolve around that. So if an opportunity comes up or something, I don't know, what do you think?
I think it's potential that you could limit yourself, putting up stipulations and guardrails of like, this is as far as I'm going to travel to reach what I want to reach. Because really it's kind of like, how bad do you want to do what you want to do? Obviously, whatever. Not that there can't or shouldn't be like some obviously like act like core values in terms of like integrity and honesty and these kind of things. But it's like sometimes there can be, you know, yeah, I don't know. You could be limiting yourself, being like, okay, I just like, because what would it look like if you dared to travel beyond where you've been, or embrace even more uncomfortable than what you had ever dreamed?
Yeah.
But yeah, well, yeah, for sure. I think standing at the crossroads is like just kind of like you're talking about that awareness of like coming into awareness where there is a decision, where there is like you do need to answer the question of who am I and what the freak am I going to do with my life, like that.
Yeah.
Like becoming aware of that, like you're talking about, like instead of just existing and going through the flow, or just like I got a job, I'm just doing this,
Yeah.
I'm going to church,
Yeah.
I'm doing these things,
Yeah.
but it's like not just existing.
Right.
Like coming to an awareness that it's like, no, there's something in you that needs to come out. There's
Yeah.
like something in
Yeah.
you that needs, right? Like God looked at the world, said, what does it need? It needs you, right? And put everything you needed inside of you to realize that. So that awareness, I think that's huge. Understanding that there is a question of who am I and what am I supposed to do with my life? And there's an answer to that. So becoming aware of that is massive. And then like seeking that out, like you're talking about, is
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, what is that? What do I want to do?
Yeah.
What is in me? Like what are the things that you like dream about, that might seem crazy?
Yeah.
Those verses are nuts though, man. What was that? What was that crosswords verse? What did it say?
Crossroad. Jeremiah 6:16. Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls.
Yeah. So what was it? What was the first part?
Stand at the crossroads and look.
And then what? Seek.
Yeah, ask for the ancient paths.
And then walk in it.
Ask where the good way is and walk in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're at the crossroads and you're asking for that guidance and direction in that path.
Yeah.
Like what's, okay.
To know it. Yeah. To know. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. Seek it out.
Seek it out.
Then you go for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not always like the big the plane riding in the sky, or the the tailpipe riding. It's not. I think it's just interesting because I feel like sometimes it's like that's what you want, right? This is like from a perspective of fear of failure, it's like you want to know for sure that you're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And so it's like we assume, and there's stories in the Bible that are like this, and it's just like, man, you read a story and you're like, bam, it's going to happen just like that, and then it never happens like that. And what's wrong with me, right? It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with you. It's these ideas that you get, and it's because it's that simple and it's that natural, that the ideas that you get that are like good, that are talking about like your gifts and benefiting other people. It's like those ideas are the writing in the sky.
Yeah.
Like it is, it's not, it's these ideas that you already have that it's like, it would be so easy to just discount. You'd be like, that's just not possible. Or it's like, I haven't achieved it by now, so it's not, it's not going to happen or whatever. They'd be so easy to discount because they've always been with you, or they keep sticking with you. And so they become so normal that you think, well, it's, what's the next new exciting thing? But it's like, no, it's like that is the writing in the sky. It's just like these ideas that just keep, you're just, what? Is that me? Is that God? Is that what? Yeah, these things that don't go away. These like, no, I think I can do this. You get these moments of people need what I have. And then you get these other moments where you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But it's like, but then these ideas, they keep coming back. You're like, no, this is it. And then next day you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
But
yes, it's not like a mystery to know. Yeah.
It's not, but I think with a bunch of wrong information, it seems very mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
Because-
it just takes the effort to stand there, to actually be conscious of being there, I think.
Yeah.
Of being where?
On the crossroads.
At the crossroads.
Okay. Like realizing that.
Of average to extraordinary.
Right.
Yeah.
Like realizing that you do have the purpose and gifts all
Yeah.
within you, and then making that.
And that you need to make a decision.
Right.
It doesn't have to be an end-all, be-all decision, but like a decision
To
will
move
need to be
forward.
made eventually.
To make some effort.
Yeah. Like you can't stay at the crossroads.
Yeah.
You have to walk in one of them.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
The land of indecision is really a decision to not make a decision, which means you're just staying where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like T.D. Jakes said something. He was talking about how he's a pastor guy, preacher. He was talking about how his son was getting ready to go to college, and he was like, I think what I want to do with my life is become like a music engineer or whatever. He's like, but what if I give my whole self to this? I go all out. I do everything I can, but it's like it's not the right thing. And, T.D. Jake's response was, he said, if you go all in and do everything and you're doing everything to make it work and it's not the right thing, then that's going to be the thing that leads you to the thing. It's like, sometimes it's like, you can get a vision, even if it's just like a short-term vision, while you're still working out more of it, while you're still trying to define that purpose, moving in a direction while still seeking, right, can help move the process along. Yeah, standing around and doing nothing won't get you very far.
Yeah.
But taking some action and just not being afraid to make the wrong decision.
Yeah, that's huge.
Because that's what will just kill decision making, is indecision, just the fear of, well, if I do it wrong, does that mean I'm outside of God's will? And oh my gosh, thinking that thought might be outside of God's will. But yeah, no, taking action and moving forward and working it out is 100% in God's will, right? Where it's not the signs in the sky. It's not this and that. It's these ideas. It's like, take action and move in a direction, do something, right? Continue to define and refine what that purpose and that vision is. Yeah. But yeah, that verse, that one verse about if you stumble in the safe land, how could you run in the spigots?
5. Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, there was a proverb that read something to the point of, if your strength fails in times of trouble, then how strong was your strength? If your strength fails in times of trouble, then how strong was it? Your strength is meant for hard times, right? Like, so that you could persevere, so that you could withstand the burden. If your strength fails in hard times, how strong is it?
Wow.
Right? It's like, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Tattoo that on your forehead. It's
Wow.
like, that's legit. It's just like, there's such a misunderstanding of like who we're meant to be in God. Like, there's so much bad information out there that would speak the opposite of that. And it's so nauseating. Because that is one of like the sexiest things. I mean, like this verse right here, read that one again.
Yeah, if you have raced with men on foot and they have worn you out, how can you compete with horses? If you stumble in safe country, how will you manage in the thickets by the Jordan?
Come on. Like, you're meant to be strong.
Yeah.
Like, so strong. Like, no, I can handle that, and then I'm still good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's mentality, that's action, that's effort, that's like constant, persistent, consistent, that's clear vision, clear purpose, running on purpose, undivided minds, right? Just running in a direction nonstop to dominate.
Yeah.
That's the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think people like, well, it's just like this idea of like, well, if if we talk about all weakness and this and that, then we'll appeal to other people, you know, so they won't feel bad about themselves. I'm like, if you really want to, who are you attracted to, right? I mean, like as like, if you like to lift weights, you watch people who are really strong, and you're looking for tips, like them being strong and being excellent at what they do, that causes you that attracts you to them, right? Because they have something that you want, and their excellence speaks to the potential of your excellence, right? Like if you like playing music, right, you're attracted to the people who can freaking shred, who can rip it up, who got some nasty chops, right, who can just lay down some slick beats, because you want to become, you want to be better. Mm-hmm. It's like nobody's attracted, like you're not going to go and try to be influenced by somebody who's down in the dumps.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like that's kind of the message that gets preached.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, the world's not dumb enough to buy that. There's been that's been the message that people have bought, but the world won't buy that.
Yeah.
Because they can tell, like, bro, I already got that life. What do I need that one for?
I don't want to feel worse. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But this one, right? It's like, no, you should be able to run with men, and then kick it with some horses.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it talked about Elijah after, you know, he'd prayed and there was no rain on the land, and finally he prayed, and the rain was about to come, and this was after he killed all the prophets of Baal and all this and that. You know, they had the 2 altars and stuff, and God rained down fire and consumed it. And so the king was in a chariot, and he had horses, and Elijah, and they were racing back because Elijah's like, dude, the rain's coming. So the king takes off. Elijah tucks up his tunic and runs and passes the horse and chariot. Like, literally.
When it's raining?
Yeah, right before it rained, yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
He also ran for 40 days and 40 nights.
What the? Wow.
After that.
Dang.
Wow.
But yeah.
That's crazy.
Not impossible.
Yeah. Come on. Frig. Yeah.
So we're looking to figure out who the horses are and run with those people, and manage the thickets by the Jordan. So
yeah,
that's what it'll take to get to greatness. But the second part, you want to move on to the second part?
Yeah.
So is it okay to make a decision towards success based on what you believe your purpose, your individual purpose and vision are? So 3 quick things that I think this requires is it requires knowing who God is, having an intimate understanding of who God is. And it also requires knowing who you are, so having an intimate understanding of who you yourself is. And it also requires trusting you and having confidence in your ability, which that could go either, that could go either way. Trusting God and having confidence in his ability is the same thing as trusting you and having confidence in your ability, because he made you, lives inside of you, has a plan for you. So you can't, I don't think you can just trust God and have confidence in God, but then not trust yourself and not have any confidence in yourself and be able to get somewhere. So it requires both: knowing God, knowing yourself, trusting yourself and having confidence in yourself, trusting God, having confidence in God. So just a couple quick things that describe, like that verse in Jeremiah that says God has a good plan.
For I know the plans.
Yeah.
29:11.
Yeah. So I just always wondered, like, well, what are those plans? It says plans to prosper you and not to harm you. What does that look like? So Isaiah 65:22, it says, for as the days of a tree, so will be the days of my people. My chosen ones will long enjoy the work of their hands. They will not labor in vain, nor will they bear children doomed to misfortune. They will be a people blessed by the Lord, and their descendants with them. Before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb will feed together. The lion will eat straw like an ox, and the dust will be the serpent's food. They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountains. So, so the first part of that, the days will be like a tree, like a big tree that can withstand, just lives a long time. So your days are not cut short. They'll enjoy the work of their hands. They'll not labor in vain. So the work you do will prosper and produce fruit, and you'll enjoy that work. So their descendants will be blessed. Basically, their children and the descendants with them will be a blessed people. And then Isaiah 63:13 says something. So that one says, like a horse in open country, they did not stumble. Like cattle that go down to the plain, they were given rest by the Spirit of the Lord. This is how you guided your people to make for yourself a glorious name. Just these things that is it okay to make a decision towards what you believe your vision is, towards success? If these are like the kind of the details of what God's plan is for his people, I would think you'd want to make a decision in these directions and based, be confident that this is the destination. Like you're going into the open country, you're going down to the plain where you're going to be given rest, and you might have to go through some thickets, but you're going to it. You're trusting that if you are going with Christ, you're going to get to the destination. And then just real quick, Jeremiah 18:15. That one says, so the second part of that verse talks about, so he talks about the Israelites making worthless idols, and which made them stumble in their ways in the ancient paths. They made them walk in byways on roads not built up. So if it always feels like we're stumbling, or if it always feels like we're not, sure where we're going, it could be because we're not on those ancient paths that we've strayed from, or we're not on roads that were built up for us that we failed to seek out. So it talks about the ancient paths again in that verse, and it talks about worthless things causing people to stumble away from the ancient paths, or make them stumble in the ancient paths. And those worthless things made them walk on ways that weren't built up. So I think it's possible to fail to do these things, and then I know it was for me. I ended up in a place where I was not feeling like the way was sturdy, and constantly stumbling and not knowing where to go or what to do. And then Jeremiah 17, verse 7. This one I thought was really interesting, because the first part of this is really well known. It says, "But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought, and never fails to bear fruit." I guess verse 9 is what's most well known. Is it says, "The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it?" What I thought was interesting was the first part, so 7 and 8, have quotes around them, which is what God was saying. Verse 9 is, I think, what Jeremiah was coming to the conclusion of. So Jeremiah was saying the heart is deceitful above all things. Right after God said all those good things, Jeremiah says the heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? But then it goes back and starts the quotes again. And the Lord says, "I, the Lord, search the heart and examine the mind, to reward each person according to their conduct, according to what their deeds deserve." So it's like so Jeremiah was saying, like, he was kind of I think this is my perspective, he's overwhelmed with all these things that God's saying to him. And he's like, oh my gosh, the heart is so messed up. But God is saying, no, I search the heart, I search the mind, I understand the heart and the mind, and I give to each person as what their work deserves. And when I read that, I'd recently read that, and I just remember hearing that verse 9 so many times growing up and at church camp and in Bible studies and all this stuff. It's like everyone's always talking about how deceitful the heart is, how sinful everything is. It's like you can't you can't make a decision in confidence and trusting in God, believing that your own heart and your own mind are deceitful. And that's not even that verse isn't even what God said. Like that, those words didn't come out of God's mouth. I don't think. I think that was coming out of Jeremiah. I think that was in a conversation, because there's no quotes around. There's quotes around what God was saying in these things, but there's no quotes around that piece. It's almost like a human conclusion. Like, there's so much. I don't know. It's almost like just a human perspective of the heart. But God's saying, no, I understand the heart. I know what goes on, and I examine the heart. I examine the mind. So just the fact that like so many people use that verse as like an excuse not to do something, an excuse not to take accountability, or put forth an effort because, if the heart's deceitful above all things, then I can't do anything right. So I might as well not even try. I might as well not even work towards a specific direction. So getting over that, I think that was the last verse towards, or for knowing who God is, knowing who you are, and trusting yourself, having confidence in yourself. You have to really believe verses 7 and 8. You have to understand that verse 9 is going to be a human perspective, but verse 10 is going to be the Lord, reassuring, no, I understand the heart, I understand the mind. I'll give you the plans that I have for you if you seek them out. So yeah, if you're constantly getting this message that you can't do anything right, or you're messed up, or we're more like the people God was set out to destroy than the people that were actually His people, then it's gonna be hard to make a decision based on what you want your preferred future to be. It's gonna be harder to believe that you can go in a direction and find success. And you're just gonna end up more confused about who you are and who God is. Because we've all heard about the stuff that you can't do anything without God, right? But if you have this, like what you said before here, James, that's true. But if you have this perspective that you can't do anything right and you're so messed up, then in reality you can't do anything with God, because you'll never have the trust and the confidence to make a decision. You'll never have the perseverance and determination to get through the thickets and run with horses. And you kind of have to get past the cliches that we've all heard before that are kind of just misconceptions, basically misunderstandings. To really know who God is and who you are, I think it's just sometimes you have to be careful what you take in, I guess. And seek and stand at the crossroads for yourself and seek out the ancient paths and seek out the way that's good. So that's what I got for that one.
Yeah, well, I think you said. I mean, one of those passages was, I think it was the take you to pasture one, give you rest.
Yeah.
And by that, God made Himself a great name.
Yeah, great nation. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I'll read the last part of that. Yeah, that was like a horse in open country. They did not stumble, like cattle that go down to the plain. They were given rest by the Spirit of the Lord. This is how you guided your people to make for yourself a glorious name. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how God guides people, is by leading them to these places.
Well, but these people and the quality of their life and the quality of their mentality and the quality of their actions and the quality of their families and the quality of the things that they do is how God makes a great name for Himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In that video I made the other week, talked about like like a builder, making tables.
Mm.
The quality of the construction is a reflection in the quality of the builder, right? So, if you get the skilled builder, right, you can tell he's skilled by his work, right? Because like the material he uses is legit, it's strong, it's sturdy. The way he joins the wood, right? It's like you can't tell where one board starts, the other one ends. It's just put together so nice. It's like it's overbuilt. The whole thing's so extravagant, and you just kind of look at it and you like stand back and you're like, man, shoot, right? The quality of that table reflects the skill of the builder. All right. So on the flip side, you grab a table, right? That's like, one leg is longer than the other. So you touch it and it's like it wobbles. The boards are all splintered and split apart. The joints aren't even close to being, you got pressure treated wood, you got normal wood. It's like it's just a hot mess.
Yeah.
The quality of the table, right, is a reflection of the skill of the builder. And this idea, right, that God is good, but we suck. It seems like humility. But the quality of the created thing is a reflection in the quality and skill of the builder. So you have to rethink this pathetic, mixed up, jacked up idea that came out of hell that says you're worthless and no good. We could use this word human, right? Be like, oh, you're just human. Yeah, I am. You know where humans came from? The very image and the very likeness of God.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like he makes a great name for himself because his people are freaking legit.
Yeah.
All the people, the Israelites, right? They finally get out of Egypt, right? Years later, they finally make it to the promised land the first time. They send 12 spies in. They all come back. They're like, bro, everything God said was legit, right? It's like there's literal rivers of honey flowing. But but they're like, yeah, but like these people are freaking huge, right? All right, these people, right, who are following God, pretty much like a big hot mess, but they're still somehow following God. They come back and they're like, bro, we can't do it. It's too scary. We're going to get killed. Only two guys, right? Joshua and Caleb are like, no, guys, look, we can do this. But it's too late. The first 10 got everybody's minds where they normally go, which is in like lack. This is impossible. It's not going to work, right? It's these people that God had called to this place, disqualified themselves because they refused to trust in God and to trust in their trust in him. Like kind of like you're talking about, like the ability to know that in God you have the ability to do what he's called you to do. You're talking about like vision and purpose and these ideas we have to take action. No, like you have to take action. Like the things you dream about will never come to pass without you. Like it was given to you. Like the thing that bugs you might not bug somebody else, but it bugs you. It bugs you because it's for you. It's okay if it doesn't bug somebody else. It's for you. Like you need to get into it, but if you don't get into it, then there's a whole space that's void that needs you. But if you sit back and think, well, I can't do it, or it's too scary, or I'm not good enough, or what if I mess up, or what if I get into sin, or all this, it's just like what if you had a renewed mind? What if you actually believed in God? What if you took hold of restoration and righteousness and freaking dominated?
Yeah.
You tapped into the guy who created all things. And why don't you go get into some invention and innovation and inspiration and go and tear up the world? Mm-hmm. Why don't you chase down some horses, right, in front of the world? And then the people are like, what the freak's up with you? Be like, yeah, let me teach you how I do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And why don't you have some freaking influence?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then God's name will be great among the nations, among people, because they saw how he acts through you. One of those verses, you're talking about the one with the tree, the people be like the tree, long life.
Yeah.
But it said like their kids won't be born into some destitute, broke down, jacked up society, right? It's like you're talking about creating a legacy that's something that's built up for the kids to then take over and take to the next level, to then hand to their kids who will build up, maintain, sustain, and then increase, right? Like we're talking about, expansion, growth, abundance, domination, success, prospering, bearing fruit, doing things of value.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Labor won't be done in vain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
And they'll enjoy their work. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's just like, what if, right? I mean, you just hear it. People are like, oh, I don't know how your week was, but but God is so good. But it's like, what if, like, for a second, we actually believed that verse that said, this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Like, what if you took all the religious emptiness out of it, and you were left with the raw reality that, like, this day is so jam-packed full with unlimited possibilities and potential that if you got into some things you've never gotten into before, like, beautiful things could happen. If you stayed steady and kept chasing after vision and purpose, if you kept plugging away, if you kept doing the things that you were scared of and didn't quit, right? It's just like, man, what could this world actually look like if the people of light weren't afraid of light?
Right.
It's not because you want to be. It's just because there's just so much bad information out
Right.
there that it's just so confusing. You're like, no, I'm supposed to be in darkness. No, you're not. You're supposed to go into the darkest places and make it light.
Yeah. I think people will use verses like Jeremiah 17:9 that says the heart is deceitful above all things, which I think this is literally Jeremiah just understanding that my heart is not the same as God's heart. My heart is, there might be some realization that Jeremiah was like, yeah, all this stuff is so beautiful. How can my earthly, human heart even understand all this? But I don't think that was God. I mean, there's just by the way this chapter is written, it's like that wasn't even God saying that. Like, I'm not, just as a disclaimer, I'm not saying verse 9 should be thrown out of the Bible, but it's like that was Jeremiah's confession almost of like, yeah, God, this stuff is so enormous. It's like, how am I as a human, how is my human heart even going to be able to do any of this? Or how is our human nature going to be able to handle any of this? And like, immediately when the quotes start back up, he says, I, the Lord, search the heart, I examine the mind. It's like, I know how I'm going to do it through you guys. And I just think, you have to know. You can't just, can't just depend on what other people are saying. You have to know for yourself. I mean, obviously there's bad content, there's good content, there's stuff that's going to hinder you, stuff that's going to help you, but you have to know for yourself so that the stuff that's going to, then you'll be able to determine what's out there that's actually going to help you. And then what's out there that's actually hindering you, that people are saying is going to help you. Because I remember writing that verse down, thinking that was what God said. That was what God said. I remember hearing that verse a lot, just that verse 9, or writing it down and putting it on my dresser at home when I lived at home. But I remember the thoughts I was thinking. Like, I'm just going to be average the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I was working a job that it was okay money, and it was, it was a 9-to-5-er. And I was like, I'll just stay here the rest of my life and be average. Like, those were the thoughts I was having at that time frame when I wrote that verse down.
Yeah.
When I heard that verse, I didn't read that whole chapter. I had just heard that verse. Somebody said it, or somebody, texted or whatever. And I just wrote it down. I was like, this is a call for me to be average and unsuccessful and in the background my whole life. And so you have to be careful what you take in and know, you have to know this stuff, for yourself. You have to make a conscious effort to read God's word. And then you'll be able to determine what is out there to help you and what's out there to actually hinder you and keep you unaccountable and keep you not taking an effort, not making decisions. Because that's where Satan wants you. That's where the world wants you. The world wants you, not doing very much. It wants you in lack. It wants you in dependence. It wants you. I just think, just as a disclaimer, I'm not saying verse 9 needs thrown out, but understanding it takes a conscious effort to understand what's going on. And we can't just use verses as excuses to not do something or take verses out of context and use them as a reason not to do something.
Well, yeah, but I mean, so this is Old Testament, right? Because then, and even prophesied in that, is that God said, I'm going to write my law on their hearts and on their minds. Like, nobody's going to need to teach their neighbor because everybody will know me, right? We're talking about restoration and redemption. So what Jesus brought, right, was the brand new. So, but then that's then the necessity to be transformed, right? Become totally different from the wretched into the kingdom. No longer wretched, righteous, justified, glorified. Whoa. Yeah. Made to conform into the image of Jesus. So Because this is where people get stuck, right? Just on the starting line of salvation. Salvation gets you kind of to the starting line, but then nobody actually like jumps into the race, which that's over exaggeration. But the thing that's not talked about across the board, most people just stay at this line, at the starting line, talking about, we're all talking about sin and, useless, be pathetic, be nothing.
Yeah.
Well, then you're never actually going to jump in, right? Because jumping in is identity, purpose, and vision. All right. You need to understand identity, right? You need to understand righteousness. If all you know is that word, there's a little bit more to it, right? Of like to be justified, to actually believe and walk, think, and feel like you are alive in God, right? Because in that then comes like meaning and purpose and these ideas of greatness, these ideas, right, where you can actually affect change. Like that's for you to get into, right? And that stuff flows from your identity. So to be able to get into the race is to become aware of those crossroads, is that there freaking is a line in the sand at some point, man. It's like, are we actually going to live and establish the kingdom of heaven on earth, or are we just waiting to die?
Yeah.
Right.
Don't just wait to die.
No,
No, because you're freaking alive
Right,
on purpose, right? You just need some ideas, some better ideas, right? And it's hard. It's hard. You want to watch out. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. Well, so you're talking about like not being confused or versus, being taken out of context.
Taking out of context.
Which is
yeah. And then misunderstanding them. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to take anything like yeah, I mean the word is the word. And take it for exactly
No,
what it
but
is, for
yes,
sure.
misconceptions and deceptions.
Right, things can be taken out of context and misused, I think.
Right. Well, which is why it's like, so in Ephesians 4, they're talking about, God gave some to be apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers to build up the body of Christ, to grow in maturity, to obtain to the full measure of the knowledge of God, right? So that we're no longer tossed around like infants, like by the wave of every wind of teaching, right? Like, you're growing in maturity when you can hear something, you're like, that's not right.
Yeah.
Like, you're growing in maturity when you have this knowledge, you're applying it, and then you hear something that's not right, and you're like, I don't think that's right. You might even be like, I don't really know why, that's not right.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's how you know you're actually growing. That's how you know you're becoming. It's like nobody's meant to stay as an infant. There is nothing in life that would ever prove that you're supposed to remain docile or at the very beginning stage. Everything increases, everything grows, everything matures. But it's just interesting that there's some of these just plain concepts in life that somehow we don't apply to like our spiritual life. Like, it seems like there's no way to measure it. There's no accountability. There's no actual, no, you're doing that wrong, and here's the right way to do it. You course correct, and then you reap the benefits, right? It's like there's almost, like in a business, you could be like, all right, let's look at your profit, let's look at your loss, let's look at how many people you reach, let's look at some of the data. And by looking at the data, you can adjust. You can see where you're coming up short. You can see where you need to learn some new tactics, some new strategies, whatever. Here's where you're kind of being conservative. You need to go in more, right? There's these ways to look at yourself, look at the business, and adjust. And I think there is still that way to do it for our lives. I was listening to a podcast by Chris Valentin, and he's talking about how we live in such a this isn't an excuse, but we live in a society where it's like these days it's like it's almost incorrect to correct somebody, right? Because everybody's so emotionally sensitive that it's, if you correct them, oh, you hurt my feelings, right? And now like it becomes a no-no, right? To be like, no, look, there are morals, there are standards. Here's how we become better. It's like, so if we become too afraid of being corrected, then you're never gonna look at the ancient ways, right? These ways that were established, that are holy, that are righteous, that are legit and for reals, right? That will guarantee success. You know, if we don't course correct on those things, then you're stuck on these other paths that weren't correct, that where you're just gonna struggle and suck because they're not based off of the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. It's I don't know, without getting in too much trouble. It's just like, you want to watch out who you listen to. You want to watch out where you're spending your time. You want to watch out what you're consuming, because, you know, if you're finding these people who just keep talking about the heart's terrible and you suck and everything sucks, and you like, don't read the books they're reading. Don't watch the stuff they're watching. Stop going where these people are, because they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
The content that they're consuming is reinforcing their incorrect perspectives. So you wouldn't then want to go and read the books they're reading, if they're reading any, right? You want to go and you want to find some Bill Johnson, some Miles Monroe, some Chris Valentin, right? Like you want to get reading some actual books. You want to read some Grant Cardone. You want to get into some books that are going to talk about action, that are going to talk about growth, that are going to talk about maturity and actually increasing faith and using it. You don't want to keep running around in circles of, I'm not good and life sucks, and that's about all we have in life. You got up 1 or 2 highs, but you're mostly chasing lows. Like, you want to get out of that cycle and get into some actual growth. Like, that is what we're after. And that's what identity, purpose, and vision is going to lead you to.
For sure.
Absolutely. That's some good stuff.
Do you want to ride on some horses?
I'd love to, yeah.
Me too.
Fills me up with the want to keep on going.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's, you know, you can get tired and want to not slow down, but got to keep on going, man.
Yeah.
You do.
It's really, especially because there are thickets, for sure. That's for sure. You know, there's tough times. There's things that'll wear you down, and lies that you'll tell yourself in your head, and it's like it's nice to know the truth. You know, because we're not just here to, you know, live and die, and that's it. You know, which I think people get.
It's easy to get sucked in.
Yeah. Oh, well, why, you know, there's a bigger purpose to it. Huge purpose. So.
Yeah. We might need to, it's interesting to ask yourself, am I still in the safe country, or am I in the thickets when you're struggling? And there's a possibility you could still be in the safe country.
Yeah.
Right.
And you got to get ready for
right. And you're dying there.
You're like,
right.
But that could just motivate and encourage you to be like, time to step up.
Yeah. Right, because it's not about like guilt and shame, but it is about like coming to terms with what do you believe? What are you believing? What are you consuming? And what are you doing? Literally doing. Like, are you just making excuses of why? Are you trying to make sense of why you don't do what you do? Or can you own up to like, oh no, I do want to do this, but I'm just scared. All right. Well, then how could you get some accountability or have somebody walk with you to help you on that? Like, let's start looking for the solutions, but let's stop making excuses of why we're not doing the things we want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good game.
Let's get to the Jordan.
Yeah.
Let's get to the Jordan.
Chase the horses there. My good peoples, until next time, if your strength craps out in hard times, then how strong was it? Come on, somebody. Let it be strong in hard times. Until next time, peace. Guys, thanks so much for sticking around. If you're new to Be Transformed, make sure you subscribe and then hit us up at teambetransformed.com, where you can find everything you need to live a life that says all day, I keep it cultivated. If you're not sure what that is, make sure you check out the video and then join the movement. Until next time, peace.